everybody. It's Jenny here, and I'm here for the tall and the short of it this week for our live broadcast. Betsy is going to be popping in from an alternate location to join me here in just a few minutes. So if you're getting on here, just make sure you comment so that we know you're there. And we'll get started just as soon as we get the short of it on here with me, okay? So she should be requesting. Here we go. Let's add her on here with us. Here she comes. Do I need to do it again? Oh, no, I already did it. Okay, it says it's still adding, so hopefully it's going to work here in a minute. There she is. Hello. Oh, you froze. You froze. You don't look very happy. Let me see if I can see you from my computer. I don't know. I think she froze. But you can't hear me. There we go. Try again. Who else is watching? I see two. Here, let's try adding you again. See if it works this time. Hello, Sherry. There she is. Oh, you're very close. You're very close. There we go. Can you hear me okay?
I'm going to hang. Okay, give me a second. I got to put, it was messing up. Hang on. Sorry. You get to look up the palm of my hand. Okay.
All right, there we go.
Okay.
It was so funny. You had this like frown on your face when you came on the first time, and then it froze. So it was just frowny Betsy frozen on one side.
Because it kept telling me that I had to flip it, and it was already flipped.
Oh, well, that's weird.
And then, yeah.
Well, hey, Sherry's on here with us. Sherry Wildy McDonald. So we are super excited today to talk to you about data collection hacks. Not that that's a topic that most people get excited about, but
first, let me apologize for my wet hair.
Oh, well, you spent the day at the water bowl, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Well, I know, like, okay, look at Jenny. Then look at me. This is how our summers are.
Yeah, I was working on a lot of stuff today. So.
Let's see here. Oh, I did wear makeup yesterday, but I went to the doctor. That's why. I was getting ready to say. Yeah. But no, it'll be water again tomorrow. We're going to the pool.
Yeah.
We walk out the back door.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. But no, I just had to laugh that I knew we were going to get on here and you were going to like be all put together and then.
Well, I will say this, at 2 p.m. today, I did not look like this. I was still in my PJs. I'd been working in my PJs all day. Oh, okay, guys. Well, data collection. So purpose of data collection.
Hang on a second.
What?
I can hear us in my, I can hear us in my ear, like you just talked about working in your PJs all day.
Uh-huh.
In my ears. No, like
so
literally.
There's a delay?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I don't have a delay for you.
It's gone.
And you're sounding fine.
It's gone.
On
No, like,
okay, good.
No, I already heard you. It
Uh-huh.
was like, and like you were like, it was quieter. Like it was like playing somewhere else again.
Oh, okay.
No, I hear you when you're talking, like right now.
Interesting.
But then it was weird. Okay, it's gone.
Okay. So the purpose of data collection is multifold for educators, right? We collect data about everything because we need to know what works and what doesn't. Of course, the big one would be making sure they're meeting the goals that we set in their IEPs, right? So we have to do progress monitoring, and we have to send those progress notes home every grading period for them. And then also, sometimes we collect data to see if like a particular intervention is working, right? Mm-hmm. So we may be like, I can't get this kid to stay in their seat, or I can't get this kid to stop calling out during the middle of class, or, whatever. So we try something, and in order to see if it's working or not, we have to collect data on it, right? So,
yep.
Yeah. So, these are just some fun. I don't know about fun. I don't know if fun's the word. Fun's not the word. These are some things to make it more simple, I suppose.
There we go.
Or more efficient. Is that a better word? Okay. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is Google Forms. Now, for those of you who are anti-G Suite, you don't like to use the Google stuff. I like Microsoft Word, and I like Excel, and I like all that stuff. Oh my gosh, you don't know what you're missing because Google Forms is the bomb. So you can create a form to track just about anything you want to. You can make a survey out of using it. You can make a quiz. You can make any type of assessment. You can, and it will grade it for you. Like what? Why would you not use this?
And I used it this year for a student, and I had not only behaviors, I put like every unwanted behavior that the student, had. There were a lot, but and then I put who was the person dealing with the behavior.
Right, so you could see it across environments, right?
I put in there like all the different settings that could have happened in, whether like we were at specials, or were we in the classroom, were we at lunch, but even when we were in the classroom, were we on the carpet, were we at the table, was it one-on-one? And then I put like what the response was, depending on who was dealing with it. What was the response? Meaning, did they, because we used 1, 2, 3 magic, did they, just because typically we would just go into we start with a verbal redirection, and I had the different responses, and then I had the child's response, and then, and then how it basically how it ended up. But then I even had other things that had nothing to do with that. I had some bathroom things on there, that if I wanted to use it, it was just so much simpler to have it under one Google form. And so maybe I went in and was like, yes, this was the bathroom thing we had.
So what you're saying is it's incredibly customizable to each student. And that's what we need for IEPs, right? So,
and guys, I just shared it out to myself, and then every other adult in my classroom had it, but they also knew they could pick up my iPad, or they just knew exactly where it was, and we could all click what we needed to click.
Right, whenever it happened right then, right? So I posted a Google form earlier today on the wall on our Tall and the Short of It page. And here's what I want you guys to do. I want you at some point in the next few days to go click on that form, and I want you to fake fill it out. Everybody try filling it out and see how long it takes you.
My cat just bit my toe.
But this is a generic form that one of my teachers created for us to help collect data at our school. And I have used it and tweaked it and things for all different kids in different situations. But I just want as many people as possible to fill it out. And then I'll do a screencast later showing you guys what the responses look like in graph form, because it graphs all of it for you automatically when you put the responses in. So if you want to see what that looks like and you've never seen that before, like I said, go and fill it out. I filled it out twice myself just to have some stuff in there. But then after we get, 10, 12 responses on there, I can do a quick screencast and show you guys what it looks like on the back end for the teacher once people have filled that out. And I can kind of show you, if I turn it around here, I mean, this is what you're going to see when you, and I don't know if you can see that very well with the lighting, kind of.
There, yeah, right there.
Yeah, right there. So like I said, I just named it Jane Doe's documentation. I put a description of her underneath. And then there's questions to fill out. Like I said, I just want you guys to fill it out and see how easy it is and how short of amount of time it takes.
And you guys, you can do different types of it. It can be multiple choice. It can be, I think, true, false.
I have check boxes on some of it.
Check boxes. That's what I had, when I said the multiple behaviors, I had check boxes because I could go in then and add all the even more. And then there's a place where you can write, give more information.
Yes. And the one I have on here that's a sample actually has 5 sections to it, where you can make sections in a Google form that if you answer one way, it takes you to this spot. But if you answer the other way, it takes you to a different spot. So like if you answer that there was no inappropriate behavior that day, it'll just skip on to the next section and you'll keep going. But if you answer there was inappropriate behavior and they had a referral, let's say, it will take you to an incident report and you'll have to fill out more information on that.
Why don't you talk a little bit about, because I don't do this, because obviously I'm K through 2. I mean, not that kids in my building couldn't do this.
Sure.
But about the students that kind of fill it out on
their
own.
And we actually have some junior high and high school students. I mean, some as young as, I think 5th grade was the lowest we've done this with, but you could probably go lower. As long as they can type and spell a little bit.
Or even do it with you. I think they would kind of need to do that at some point.
And then release that responsibility. But we have students that fill their own form out at the end of each day with, did I turn my homework in for each class? What did I, what was my behavior like? Did I have any issues today? That kind of thing. What assignments do I have for tomorrow? All of that. They can fill all that out themselves. And when they hit the submit button at the end, then it emails a copy to both their teacher of record and their parent so that they can see and everybody's on the same page. Now, the kids that we had doing that, we have a adult who checks their response before they're allowed to hit submit to be sure they're not fibbing on it.
Of course, they never did, but we just in case.
Of course not. But it's a really great way for them to track their own goals too, because then they can see how well they're doing on that stuff. So that is one hack. And Betsy's going to talk about unstructured play.
Yes. Well, something I found last year and then this year, because that's how long I've been teaching in my classroom, not teaching a resource any longer. I found I have a playtime during my day, I guess, my kids' day, because we work on social skills. But I have found that I gain the best data during that time. My kids count toys. They pull their people or cars out and they start counting them. I thought one of my students could count to 4. And I think I had tested her that week. And then all of a sudden during playtime, she counted to 13. And I thought, never. And I had never gotten her to count any, even after she did it during playtime, I never got it after that, they like to play teacher and they go over to we do zoophonics in my classroom, and they'll go over and they will run through the names and the sounds and, and I get so much more out. I see. And so I think, Jenny and I, when we were talking about this the other day, there's just an anxiety piece that comes with setting down one-on-one. And, when you're testing, I'm sitting in front of them with either an iPad or paper and pencil, and because they're I try not to do that. I try to do like cards or something, and then I just make piles, and they don't know what the piles mean, like they don't, or try to I don't ever try to like give them some and then me some. It's always just
Mm-hmm.
piles in front of us. And so,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still, you know, you just can't get away from that. So I have found so much through watching and observing that unstructured play, which obviously that would go along with like if we were trying to track a goal, progress towards a behavior goal or a social skill
Mm-hmm.
goal, going into those types of, you know, unstructured environments. But well, this one kind of goes into the next one. But
That's okay. Go
anyways, yes,
ahead.
I was just going to say something I said when we were talking is because, like I said, I'm K through 2 in more of a life skills type classroom. That obviously you're not going to have unstructured play in, you know, middle school, high school, but allowing kids to have some time and to just chat to each other without you asking those questions and just seeing what,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what they come up with during that time. You know, kind of like that student-led group discussion, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because like I said, it's fantastic for me, but it also doesn't work across all settings because
Sure. Sure.
not everybody, you know.
But I think all the way up through as old as they are to have recess, I mean, you
Yeah.
can definitely glean some great
Mhm.
information just from going outdoors. If you're on recess duty, what an awesome thing to bring along a index card or some sticky notes with you and take some data while you're out there. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to see whether or not kids are generalizing the things you're wanting them to learn in those unstructured settings.
Mhm.
And you can also, you know, set expectations for them before you go outside and then see if they meet those expectations, you know,
Mhm.
as another way to see if pre-correction is a great tool for them.
Mhm.
So especially our kids that struggle with those social skills. Um, okay. So conversation is another big one, especially our speech therapist kind of makes a point to
Mhm.
talk about how she, when she goes to pick up a student from their classroom to come down to the speech room, a lot of times she just has informal conversation with them while they're walking because she wants to see if they're using their speech
Mhm.
sounds correctly when they're just talking to her and not yet
Mhm.
in a therapy situation, right? Because I don't know how many times we've been at a case conference and she tells the parents, he can do all the sounds in conversation, in sentences and conversation in speech. Hey, Jake. Um, but
Hi, Jake.
then when I'm walking down the hallway with him to come to speech, he's not using his R correctly, or he's not using whatever K or G or whatever one they're working on, right?
Mhm.
So that informal conversation is a good way to measure, are they using their correct pronouns? Are they using correct grammar? Are they, you know, how is their language and vocabulary growing? I mean, how many times have we talked about length of sentences
Oh,
for your
that's what I
students?
get. I get that all the time during playtime. Yes,
Yeah,
we'll
when
set
you're
that.
like,
We'll
ooh,
hear
that
them,
was a good sentence.
and then start going. Oh my God, that was 9. And then I
Yeah,
send a text to the speech therapist. Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So conversation, especially during those unstructured times, is really great because they don't know you're formally assessing them
Yep.
during that time. So they're not thinking about it. And that way you know if they
Mhm.
really know it. Um, okay, so our next one is kind of just this hodgepodge of like all the things you'd find on Pinterest, right? So you
Mhm.
could find ways to use sticky notes for data collection, ways to use index cards for data collection, set up a clipboard and hang it on your wall, you know, do a little keychain ring with different things hanging off of it where you write on it for data collection, but it's handy right there in the classroom. There's all of those kinds of ways, but for all of those, you're still going to have that additional step of having to actually compile the data and transfer it onto a tracking sheet of some sort, right? I mean, in my experience,
Mhm.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said, one way that I used sticky notes, this was my favorite when I was a teacher, was I taught writing to my kids, but I would want to be like, okay, what do they most need to work on next when it comes to their writing? So when I would walk around during their independent writing time and look at their pieces of writing with them and conference with them on their writing, I would jot down on sticky notes like, we need to work on dialogue punctuation, or we need to work on, whatever on a sticky note. And then I would stick that in my plan book. And that way, when I went to write lesson plans for my mini lessons for the next week, I'd be like, oh yeah, these are the things I wanted to teach. So that was a way I collected data, but used it then to be a responsive teacher to my students for what they need right now in the classroom. So that's just one way for that. As far as index cards go, I have even taught students to tally their own behaviors on index cards before. There's one for a student with ADHD who was really struggling. He would get off task and then could not put himself back on task for whatever assignment he was working on. So we sat down and we talked about what are the things in the classroom that distract you from getting your work done. And then he would help me make a list of all those things. So then I put, we would kind of put them into categories, like people making noises was a category. One was students walking around the room. One was someone opening the door, something like that. So then we listed those kind of on the lines of the index card, and we taped that to his desk. And I said, okay, now every time you recognize that you're being distracted by one of these things, I just want you to take your pencil and put a tally mark by it and then go right back to work. And we practiced that with me sitting there. What are you being distracted about right now? Oh, well, I got distracted because he was walking over there. Okay, where does that go? And he would mark a tally and then go back to work. And so I taught him how to mark a tally, go back to work, mark a tally, go back to work, mark a tally, go back to work. And actually it really worked for him for actually quite a while. But then he finally was just like, yeah, I don't need the card anymore. I just know I need to go back to work. I was like, yes. But that was developing that habit for him. He needed that step to kind of bridge that gap for the scaffolding for that. So, and then I could keep the cards, and sometimes they were just ridiculous. Like he was just making tallies just to show me he was making tallies, which is fine because he was going back to work. But it gave me some data to look at too. What are some other ones you've done, Bets?
I think mine is probably more like the sticky note, or just really because mine happens. So sometimes they happen. So I don't know when they're going to happen.
Right.
And so because of that, or depending on where my phone is always on me at school, just because I may not be with I may have one student and the other kids are in specials or something like that. So that's how my paras and I communicate. And so,
sure.
I mean, I may.
Well, and you've used Dojo before too for that?
Yes, I actually have.
Class Dojo?
Yes, I have used Class Dojo as an observation. I've used it. And when I've done this, it was not something that was ever linked to a class or to parents. I just went in and made my own observation class and put that student in there. And then I'm sorry, my cat is trying to bite my toes again. So what I would do is they have the positive behaviors and the negative, I guess, or the unwanted behaviors. And I would put in, basically the positive would be on task or, whatever. But then I would go in and specifically put the behaviors that the classroom teacher, this is when I would go into other classrooms and observe whatever the classroom teacher was saying, what was the problem. And then I typically would put in ones you just knew, most kids do, off task, out of seat, that kind of thing. And what is great is it timestamps it for you. And because with Google Form, if you're going in to do an observation, it's not time consuming, but it's too time consuming for that because you have to go out of the form and back in, which with Class Dojo, you just hit the thing and, and it timestamps it. And so instead of me having to constantly put marks and look at my phone or look at a stopwatch kind of thing. So yes, I love that. And it was just so helpful when I went back to be I might just set a timer for, 10, 15 minutes for me to collect that data, even 5 minutes. And I would go in and like I said, I could tell how many times the behavior happened in a minute because it timestamps it for you.
Say hi to your mom.
And
She's watching.
Hi, Mom. Spent the day with her today. So.
Yeah.
So that
and for those of you that don't know, Class Dojo is an app that you can get.
And it is free.
It is free. And you can set up your own classroom and put all your students in, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and the next one, sorry.
What?
Okay. Hang on.
You have an echo again? Ah, are you echoing again? Oh, now I've lost your sound completely. Oh, no.
Okay, I hear you, but you're not.
All right. Okay, you're there.
Sorry.
Is it on my end? Oh, the joys of technology. Hey, Kristen Hill-Landreth. Are we back?
Yes. Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Maybe we had some low internet connection there for a minute.
Yeah, your face was fantastic there.
Was it? Oh, yours was at the beginning.
That's why I was laughing.
Oh.
But talking about Dojo, like I said, it is free, and lots of teachers use that as like a communication with parents. But in here you also have in our notes. Sorry, no one else can see those, but talked about snapping a picture. I also do that with Dojo because you can have portfolios in Dojo, and because I will do videos of my kids reading because they often will read for me, but will not read at home and then pretend they can't do that at home.
Sure.
And so I do that so their parents can show them, look, I know, like this is you reading this book, and hey, look, I have this book. I can, but it's also nice for like I can put like you taught in here. We have snapping pictures, taking pictures of work samples, behavior charts, and saving those to Google Drive, which definitely you can.
Right.
Like if you want to have a folder for that child or, for each individual child. But it's also Google, no, not Google Drive. Dojo is a place if you want to share with that student's parent.
Sure.
It's just something, if you're going to put it somewhere and you want to share, then it's there for you to go back and look at.
Right. Absolutely. But yeah, like I said, if you have work samples or things you want to make sure you save to show at the next conference or to save to put data together. I have a teacher who she has a weekly behavior chart for each child that has a behavior plan. And they bring that behavior chart down to her at the end of each day to, either get their reward or if there's a consequence or whatever. But at the end of the week, she snaps a picture of that and it goes right into the Google Drive for that child's data. And then she can go and look at all those weekly sheets at the end to determine if they've met their goals or if we need to continue working on something or if we need to change up the plan, if something's been mastered or not. So it's just a good way to keep it without having to keep all the paper, right? So.
Yes, because I lose it.
Yeah.
I had to make a student's behavior. I ended up having to switch the color of a student's daily behavior sheet because I originally made them white and I would lose, like I couldn't look around my classroom and find it. So I made them blue. And his classroom teacher was like, because he spent time in my room. And I was like, I kept losing it. I kept going, where is it? And he's like, I don't know. And so if it was blue, it was.
That's fantastic. That's great.
And I don't really have that much paper in my room compared to, I mean, I don't really do worksheets and stuff, and I still couldn't find it.
There you go.
So,
well, those are all the data collection hacks we have for you this week. But if you have others.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because something else I told Jenny, I said it's so personal in this, like it's what works for me doesn't work for, Jenny and I are very different in how we do anything. So I'm guaranteed when we collect data, it probably doesn't look the same because her way would annoy me and vice versa.
Of course.
True story. But So that's it. Like you have to find what works for you and what,
Exactly.
because the best way to collect data is whatever way you will do it.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Oh my gosh, can we make that in like bold and make it into a meme? And yeah, we're
and
totally doing that. I'm gonna have
so
the best way to collect data is any way that you'll do it, Betsy Duckworth. Yeah.
because I will say I get overwhelmed, or I if you come in my room and say, "Where's your data?" There's a good chance I will pull a half sheet of paper out or the back of something and be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, well, this is his spelling, or this is his because like I said, I'm not good at being like, I just never know what data I'm going to collect on what day.
Right.
That's my biggest thing because my
Those
kids.
super organized teachers that have like a binder for every kid with all their goals in little sheets and all the everything dated and time. That's just so not most special ed teachers.
No,
I
no.
I
Well,
don't think
and I think
anyway.
that it's possibly too, like I said, I never know what I could come to school one day ready to test, like I said, counting, how high they can each count.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on Monday and I test everyone and they all like, but this one particular student only got to 4. But then 2 days later during playtime, she got to 13.
Mm-hmm.
So my data that I sit down and collected on Monday is really not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's where, like I said, like the behavior stuff I can do more of a be more specific because,
Mm-hmm.
but the other, it's like whatever's close to me is where that data is going because,
Mm-hmm.
and I do have data sheets, but it just doesn't always make it on there. So yes, the
Mm-hmm.
best way to collect data is however you will do it,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever is going to get you the most accurate data that is going to depict your child to show exactly what this child knows and who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But so share because I'm guessing all of you
Yeah,
out
you
there
guys might have ways that we
collect it.
haven't thought of.
So
The funniest thing is, if you guys want to know, when I typed in just in a Google search, when I typed in data collection hacks, there was only one thing that popped up that had to do with education. The rest was like all about business and stuff. Like, so I was like, maybe I should say data collection in school hacks or something like that. And that didn't help that much. There's not a ton out there on it other than on Pinterest. You're going to find more data collection things on Pinterest than anywhere else. So if you're still looking for different ways, there's more on there with lots of different
mm-hmm.
crazy stuff you can get on Teachers Pay Teachers and stuff like that too. But so July is right around the corner. And Betsy and I are pretty excited. We are doing a month on advocacy. And as most of you know, because I've never stopped talking about it, I'm going to be going to Washington, D.C. on the 6th of July. I think we decided we're not going live on July 4th because we want everyone to have a holiday. And so we'll pick it back up then on the 11th when I get back from Washington, but I'm probably going to go live from Washington as well, kind of let you know how things are going and what's happening while I'm there. Something kind of exciting just came through in the news today, that the House, our federal House, has actually passed a budget bill that would increase IDEA funding by $1 billion. I'm like giddy. We get 12 billion. We got 12 billion in last year's budget for IDEA for the whole country. So they actually increased the IDEA funding by $1 billion in the House bill. Now we're waiting on the Senate to put out their version. And then obviously those would be so different because we know that the Senate's probably not going to be as generous. We'll probably have a conference committee then where they'll have to put some people from the Senate and people from the House together and try to decide which of those things are going to make it into the final bill that'll be voted on by both houses. But the House did its job. So if you have a congressman you'd like to thank for that, please do. And I will also be putting out probably over the next week some websites where if you don't know how to email your congressman or call their office, you'll be able to click on a button, put your zip code in, and it'll show you exactly who and what to do. So I'll be sending out those resources for those of you that are interested in that. But after I get back from DC, we're going to do a DC debrief. And then I'm excited. We're going to be doing a couple of interviews for the rest of the month. One with Susan Ellsworth from Indiana NOFIS. She's, and that's the national organization, well, actually, it would be the National Organization for Fetal Alcohol Syndrome. So we're going to be interviewing her about the advocacy work that she does for kids who are born dependent. And then we're going to be finding another person to interview for. We had one in mind, but she's going to be out of town, so we could not interview her. But we're going to look for another advocacy organization to interview for that last Thursday in July. So we will let you know. I'm hoping to have that nailed down here in the next few days. So I'm pretty excited about Advocacy Month. Yay! Mm-hmm. And like I said, we will, I'll probably the next time you guys hear from us live will be probably from me in DC. And I said, Betsy's free to pop on if she wants to when I'm there. I mean, I'll probably go live from my hotel room once and maybe once when I'm out on the Capitol Hill or something. That'd be cool. I don't know where you have to be really careful where you go live though, because some places they don't like you to do that, like the Dollar Tree.
Sorry, we're going to see like Jenny get chased down by Secret Service and
well, I mean, you have to be careful. So I have to make sure I'm in a very public place. So anyway, I think that's it for the tall and the short of it this week. So, like I said, stay tuned. If you have any hacks you want to add, please do. We still have a few more days left this month. So that's all for now.
All right, guys. Yes, like we said, join the conversation, post or comment down below.
All right. We'll see you
next your fantastic hacks.
We'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.